Welcome to the Chanel Ashby podcast on the EIP network. Excellence in Porn, episode 10, Talent on Loan from My Cock. Each week we will be bringing you the best and worst of internet erotica in a review format, along with curious tidbits that we find interesting. And of course, we hope you enjoy the show. And as usual, we welcome all listener comments sent to ChrisPLove69 at gmail.com. Hi, Chanel.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
I'm excellent. How's your love life?
Well, I went to Canada for 6 days, and today she broke up with me.
While you were in Canada?
While I was in Canada, I got
long distance.
I got
Dear
a
John.
Dear John A. letter.
John A. to
Right.
differentiate you from the John B. letter that she sent
No,
out.
I think that's done by the Canadian authorities. They put A on the back end of everything. Though I was pleasantly surprised to find out I was bilingual.
Can you speak Canadian?
I can.
Excellent.
Yeah,
People understood your accent?
right? And so instead of Mazda, it's Mazda, and instead of taco, it's taco.
Excellent.
Right.
It's good to know
Right.
that you've educated yourself.
And apparently, we totally fucked the Canadians in 1978.
Really?
Yeah, well,
How?
we were going to switch to the metric system here in the United States, the greatest country in the world.
Right.
And the Canadians, seeing this and hearing our president speak about this move to the metric system, decided to go ahead and they did it. And then, of course, we didn't. So,
Well, that's their fault for falling for like the oldest trick in the book.
right, psych.
Like if you do it, I'll do it.
Right, you do it first, though.
Right, exactly. Like how many, every kid's, fallen for that at some point, but then you never do it again.
Right, and yet, here we are. So now the good news is that apparently my cock is like 16.8 centimeters, which sounds a lot more than what would be the conversion back to inches.
It's very impressive.
Right.
If you put 16.8 on, like your dating ad, which I know you're going to have out shortly.
Right, I got to work on that today because
it's Sunday, time's a wasting.
Right, Tadasha just decided that if I was going to be in Canada, then apparently borders takes away from monogamy. If you cross a border, you, in her mind, do not need to remain monogamous.
So Tadasha already fucked someone else.
Right, she's got a new boy toy.
Were you monogamous while in Canada?
I was.
Until you got broken up with, or you just were?
I just was. Canadian women seem a little very courteous and very quick to say hello, but that seems to be about it.
Maybe you didn't tell them about your 16.8 centimeter cock.
Right? Maybe that's where I dropped the ball, or balls,
Well,
as
congratulations, because now you can go on farmers.com.
farmersonly.com,
Right.
looking for women with a tractor.
And some sheep.
I'm not really into the sheep.
You just say that.
Right. No, I didn't even get to see the only bears I saw in Canada were when we drove through the gay district.
Oh, that's sad. I thought for sure that you'd see some bears.
Right. Though, oddly enough, I think the Canadian gay bears have as much body hair as a regular bear.
They need it. There's like 9 months of winter up there.
Right. It's
They have
starting
to hibernate.
It's starting to snow there now.
Right? They have like a little unicorn rainbow jacket and
Right. And
a fancy hat.
And did you know that when real bears hibernate, that they come out of their hibernation with 6 inches of hair up their butt?
I have seen that on a movie.
Right. And I think the gay bears, when spring comes along, they come out with 6 inches of something else up their butt.
Right. Well, if everything goes right.
Right. They're hoping.
So are you brokenhearted?
No, I think I rebounded quickly. I think I'll be okay.
Did you cry?
Maybe a little bit in the dark, in the fetal
Like
position.
2 tears.
Like, where in the metric system, it's like 8.
Excellent.
Right.
That makes you sound like you're compassionate.
I really thought that she was going to be number 8. So I'm very heartbroken by that.
You sound like you're all
Right.
broken
I
up.
thought this was going to be my chance to be a father and, bring all that worldly advice to a youngster.
You know what? It's possible that that's just not in the cards for you. A lot of people shouldn't have kids, and they do. So, be an example.
Set a standard.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not allowed to see my nieces or nephews because of, you're a dildo salesman. We don't want you around our kids.
Exactly.
I'm an entrepreneur, and I almost have secured funding for the billionaire.
Excellent.
Right. I'm this close. About 16.8 centimeters close. So...
Well, since I'm an American and I live in the greatest country in the world, I don't really get the conversion on 16.8 centimeters. So tell me in inches how much that is.
About 6.5.
Okay, just
Give or
checking.
take.
Right.
Right.
And ballpark in it.
Yeah, it's best for all
Probably
dudes.
closer to 6.
Tomato.
Okay, right. That's what she did not say that.
Penis. As they say up in Canada.
Did you have time to read this week?
I did.
Despite your
busy schedule.
your
of meetings.
heartbreaking ordeal.
Right. Well, I
And the
did.
loss of true love.
Right, but I'm hoping to find true love again because I am an optimist.
You're just a horn dog.
Uh-uh.
I know. Tomato.
Right. So I read quite a bit actually because I had a lot of time in between my meetings to read.
Okay.
So the first story I read was The City Barbershop Down Low.
Ooh, interesting.
By Calvin Freeman. I found this very interesting because you don't find a lot of black on black, gay out there.
Right.
Because blacks, and I think it's really a cultural thing for them, right?
I think, yeah, maybe it's looked down in black culture a little more than white culture to be gay. So,
Right.
yeah, I think it's more one of those, like, you just stay in the closet, maybe.
Right. Well, that seems to be very prevalent throughout the story. I mean, it's a quick read, and it appears, based on how it was written, that I would assume that the writer was actually a black dude.
Oh, excellent.
Right. And so on this, he seems to have a fair amount of firsthand experience. He points out that the difference between a barbershop in a black neighborhood and a barbershop in a white neighborhood is that, first off, they're black versus, white guys. And
No.
Right. I was surprised. But then that all the white dudes that work in barbershops are gay, but very out. Now the black dudes,
the hairdresser thing,
right?
Yeah.
Now the black and never the twain shall meet. The dudes from, the black barbershops versus the white, except when they're getting licensed. So
right.
But apparently everyone acts very hetero in the black barbershop until, of course, you get them in the back. And according to the proprietor of the barbershop, you can't just do it in the back. You got to do it in the bathroom, and you can't spunk all over like the sink. You got to get it in the toilet.
This sounds like it's educational.
It was. Now, if I'm ever in a black barbershop, I'll know what to do and what the etiquette is.
Right.
Right.
You'll already have been schooled.
Yes. So, of course, it follows the story of a young, new hairdresser in the black barbershop who is outwardly gay. And he takes it upon himself to sleep with every dude that works there, all 4 of them.
Wow.
So, now this is a very quick read. I mean, basically 35 pages. And in 35 pages, he basically sleeps with all 4 dudes.
Wow.
Right?
When does he have time to do haircuts?
Hey, oddly enough, it doesn't reference anyone getting their hair cut.
Wow. Great job.
Right? Which
I might get a job in a barber shop.
which
I don't know how to cut hair either.
but you know how to sleep with people.
Right?
Right? Well, apparently in black barbershops, that's all you need.
Okay.
So, but what I did like about the story was, besides, obviously, he's very task-orientated, which I thought was commendable for a young man, because we don't see that in today's youth.
Right.
Right. They're very lazy. And so, but not Calvin. So, but what was nice about it was there wasn't a lot of backstory. It was, what, I write smut. So I'm going to give you smut.
Straight to the point.
Right? So if you like black on black gay, Calvin Freeman's your man.
And who doesn't?
Right.
Was there a lot of references to big black dicks?
Oddly enough, he did not reference the size of the cocks as much as you would think.
Maybe it's because he's an actual black guy and didn't have that whole, white guy thinking about big black dick thing.
Right. Well, he's a black guy thinking about just black dick.
Like regular black dick.
Right.
Maybe that was enough.
Yeah. Right. So he sleeps with them at their house. He sleeps with them in the bathroom. He sleeps with them in the little kitchenette. And of course,
not very cleanliness orientated there at the barber shop.
I don't think they were so worried about the cleanliness of just getting the dick.
A lot of blowjobs, a lot of anal. Anything surprising?
Exactly, including taking on the proprietor of the shop.
Well, that's what you got to do in order to keep your job.
Right. Well, he's married, but fortunately enough for the writer, his wife travels a lot. Oh. And, when the wife travels a lot, you got to get it taken care of. But you can't tell anybody. So. Right.
When your wife travels a lot, that means your husband is half gay.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That's everybody knows that, Chris.
Well, I'm apparently out of touch. So, I was in Canada for a week, so a lot changed back here in the greatest country in the world.
Right? Like, we don't give a shit about the metric system.
Right.
You and your, Boy Scout information little video.
Right. I think,
boys and girls.
It's like a little ruler with little hands on it, walking around.
Right. And, as Americans, we're just like, fuck you and your metric system.
A little jingle, Schoolhouse Rocks.
Right.
But I tell you,
we're not going to learn nothing.
Right. We're going to tell, this is an American ruler. We only measure in inches.
Right.
And then there'll be a smaller ruler in centimeters because, of course, we think we're better than everybody else.
Wow.
Of course we are.
Right.
Shh, don't tell anybody. We don't want to seem pompous. Right.
Yeah.
So that was, and I'm going to give that 4 boners.
Excellent.
And you can find his stuff on Smashwords and Amazon, and he's a good writer if you like that genre of writing.
Cool.
Now I also read a fine piece by an author named Silk Weaver.
I don't think that's what their real name is.
Well, that's what they're writing under. And it's Jack Lemming in Submitting to My High School Teacher. Now, her profile on Smashwords says that she's 19 or 20 and that she's been writing since she was 5.
Right. And she's probably 62.
I really hope that she was not writing erotica when she was 5.
That's a whole different show.
Right. But she has since turned her writing to erotica. And to be perfectly honest, her age shows in her writing.
So you think she's really 19?
I think she very well may be 19. Oh. Her writing is very reminiscent of someone who is writing about the moon but has never been to the moon. So it's what she thinks BDSM would be.
Oh.
And with very little sex. I mean, basically the whole story, which was almost 60 pages, all led up to basically, him jacking off in front of his teacher. And not really.
So she's a girl and she's writing as a young man and the teacher is a female?
Yes.
See, that's going to be hard for somebody her age to do, too. Because it's a male perspective then and a female dominant. And if you don't really have maybe some experience, exactly like you said, in that arena, you're going to have a difficult time. She should write as a girl.
Well, she had 50 pages of backstory, for God's sake.
Oh, that's boring.
Right. So it was, and so not a lot of smut. So step up, Silk Weaver. She's got quite a lot out there, actually, including the box set of, Jack Lemming. So I only read the first one. I'm not sure I could actually get through another 2 or 3 books of him just basically jacking off.
50 pages of backstory, was that all about how hot he was for his teacher?
Well, the first probably 5 or 6 pages was actually him running away from his girlfriend Mandy when he couldn't get it up, and then him having a dream where Mandy ties his hands and he wakes up with a boner. So then of course he goes to this teacher, because she's a chemistry teacher, and asks her a question about not being able to get a boner with the girlfriend unless his hands are tied, hence his dreams. So she of course then goes to try and find out what the deal is. And if you read the storyline for the next 2 or 3 stories, it's all about him exploring that. But
with his teacher.
Well, the teacher actually brings in a friend. So, but if
it gets hotter as you go along, possibly.
I don't know. I mean, if this is her writing, I'm giving it 1.5 boners.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. There's enough other BDSM stories out there that if you didn't like it, then you didn't like it.
Right. It should be pointed out that had I actually bought this on Amazon, I did not know you could actually return bad porn.
You can return anything on Amazon as long as you do it within their return policy time. And I think that might differ depending on, I wanted to return something, but it was like a piece of electronics, but it was past the 60 days. But now I don't know what your...
do you quantify dildos as electronics?
What do you think I was trying to return?
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know what their return policy specifically is on Kindle books. So that, the reader would need to check on that. But yes, you can return any kind of book. It doesn't even just have to be porn.
We have a strict no return policy on the Wilbur.
I think personally that the return policy on porn should be, certain things should be taken into consideration. Like, some people return porn because they don't want to get caught with it. And that's really not the writer's fault.
No, if you buy it and you get off on it, you should be forced to keep it.
I kind of think so too, unfortunately, and there's no way of verifying that.
Well, I'm calling out to Amazon, who is all ready to send out little helicopters and deliver stuff to your porch, that if you buy porn, that same little helicopter should watch you read it. And if you spew all over your stomach, then you can't return it.
I'm pretty sure that's going to freak people out.
Some.
Well, and some of them,
right.
that are going to be ordering more porn, which would be actually good for me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't see Amazon taking you up on that.
No, so
too many soccer moms.
I hate those soccer moms standing around handing out orange slices and participation awards.
I know.
Idiots.
You have some big beef with participation awards.
Well,
is that because you didn't get one when you were a little boy?
Well, no, because I would try and actually win.
Well, biting other people isn't what gets you to win. Cheaters never win. And winners never cheat. That's our quote of the week, isn't it? I don't know. It's a back to school podcast.
Right. Well, I'm pretty excited about what you're going to be writing next week. Just a brief side note. You're going to do your back to school special, aren't you?
I am doing back to school. It's all about naughty schoolgirls getting spanked by their older dominant teachers.
Right. So be on the lookout for that in about 7 days or sooner.
Right. It's all going to be just spankings and getting felt up and sucking dick. And perhaps a little bit of golden showers. Because, what's more humiliating than your teacher pissing on your face?
Right. And making you leave the classroom.
Get in the cage, bitch.
What school is this?
It's the Chanel Ashby finishing school.
Oh, that's welcome back to welcome back to school, kids. Enjoy. So you did some reading too, didn't you?
I did. I read a book called The Ruined by Marissa Sand, which, I don't know if I would have gone so far out on a limb to call anything The Ruined, because I don't know. But actually, turns out that's not a bad title. I would say that right now I can't find anything else on Amazon or anywhere else by Marissa Sand. So I'm going to say that perhaps this might be the only thing she's written.
She's a one-book wonder.
Well, and it didn't come out that long ago, so maybe she's just starting out. And I'm going to say that I am not hating it so far. There's a couple minor tweaks. And other than that, I think that the rest of the series, and I'm just saying series because it finished in a way that I would think there's going to be more, that it's going to be good. And so The Ruined is about a post-apocalyptic society. And here's a woman who doesn't believe in backstory. You don't have any idea what happened. But, there's survivors. And they have a fucked up, world now.
Why muddy the waters with how it happened? You're there. Live it.
Exactly. So this chick, she wakes up on her 18th birthday.
I'm finding that is to be something that I'm noticing a lot. That everyone in their description is referencing their 18th birthday.
Well, that's because the rest of us have to make sure we let the audience know that even though it's our imagination, we only imagine people that are 18. So she wakes up, it's her 18th birthday, and she's in this post-apocalyptic society. And part of what they do with select women is they put them in a reproductive group. They call it the repro group. And that just means that you get fucked a lot.
So basically it's like just going right back to the 1700s.
Right. And you kind of then instead of living on the commune, you kind of live in a whorehouse, but it's like the future whorehouse.
Well, it's good to know some things never change.
Right.
Right.
And you're just really trying to get pregnant because apparently whoever's left of the human race, it's been very difficult for, them to have babies and whatnot. So the human race might die out. So it's got some girl on girl, which, what else do chicks do in a whorehouse when they're waiting for, dudes to show up? The madam of the brothel is a little dominant, and she introduces the main character to a dildo up the butt because, of course, she's a virgin. And
that could be good product placement for the billionaire, right?
That's what I was thinking. It's a Wilbur in the future.
Right. Some things will never die.
So that was kind of hot. Then, of course, the main character meets the leader of the dudes in the future. And, of course, that's the best sex ever because that's how she gets her cherry popped. But then there's some... a possible boyfriend kind of shows up, and then he fucks her, so there could be a triangle there in the future. Who knows? She's fucking both dudes. You never know.
This is bordering on romance.
That's what I was just gonna say. I hope that the sequel sticks with. It's pretty much nonstop fucking at this point.
Okay, good start.
Right. Hopefully it does not veer to the right and become romance. I could totally have masturbated to this if I had had the time. Just didn't happen to have the time when I was reading it. So I'm going to say 3.5 boners. The only real criticism is the use of as a, spelled out word. Yeah. I'm assuming that's the word she's spelling.
You're not a big proponent of things like and of course in the spanking, you're basically replaying a Batman episode from the 1970s. Whack, splat.
In my head, that's how I do it. I want to go. Yeah. So, without the sound effect words, I would say I would probably give it 4, and that's just my own personal soapbox.
Do you find that that's just easy for writers to do that? I mean, they're just being lazy instead of truly painting the picture,
Well, you know what? But I think
or just inexperience.
No, I actually think that some people like that Batman sound effect thing. Like in their head, like that's actually hot to them. And
Yeah.
somebody's going, but it's just, how do you actually spell that? And to me, that is distracting enough that now I'm losing my girl boner.
Right. I mean, I've read like spanking porn and BDSM, and there seems to be a lot of writers that will do that: spank, 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 or whack, 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 whack.
Yeah,
and
that's old. That gets old in a hurry.
it takes up, well, especially if there's a lot of it. It's like a whole
Right.
page really of whack, whack, whack. Oh,
Yeah.
he cried. Whack, whack, whack. Oh, she came. Whack, spank, spank, spank. It's like that's.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and especially if you're going to do a whole spanking thing, then yes, take me there mentally. Let me know, how does it sound without just a sound effect word? You can describe like the sound is echoing off the wall, or how does it feel? How is my body tensing up? Am I scared? Am I horny? Am I wet? Are you
Describe the welts.
exactly like my butt is hot and is it starting to hurt?
Your butt is hot.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pull your pants up. We have a new rule here at Chanel Talk Smut, and that is all participants have to wear pants.
No, I thought we were going the other way. No pants policy.
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, I've got assless chaps on today, so
Right. Well, I know, and you just got dumped, so I'm willing to
Right.
give you a little leniency.
appreciate it.
I know you got to go to happy hours soon.
Well,
Those assless chaps are sure to help you get over to dash up.
I'm just going to stop over at my favorite, Chinese massage parlor for, the happy ending during happy hour.
Oh, excellent.
Right.
Because, are you wearing the assless chaps to make their job easier?
And no, I go full nude once I get in there. I just like the feel of a warm summer breeze on my cheeks. Kind of nice. And it's old school.
Right. It's very classy.
Right.
Okay. So Marissa Sand, 3.5 boners. It was good. I would look for her next book when it comes out. She's on Smashwords and Amazon.
You also read something else, didn't you?
I did. I read something that got good reviews. And here's something that sucks about this review system that, people do it on Amazon. People did it on eBay. Kind of now everything you buy online, there's customer reviews. And I get that because I just bought something off of Amazon that really was based more on customer reviews than any of my own previous knowledge. But when it comes to, like, say you're buying a computer, somebody's review can be helpful because they're going to give you like the facts. This computer blew up on day 2 or whatever.
Right.
That's a fact. When it comes to reading material, that's, especially porn, that's your opinion.
It's very
So-
subjective.
Exactly. So I got conned into reading something based on good reviews, and it sucked balls. The book is called If at First You Don't Succeed, and the author is K.C. Phelan. And I could not find this author anywhere else. So it might be a one and only. I have no idea. So I think it was supposed to be slightly humorous and yet also erotic. And that's what the reviews, people were saying, like, oh, this
I've
is...
had people refer to my lovemaking as slightly humorous and mildly erotic.
Well, then you might want to pick up this book. I personally wouldn't have called it erotica, but it's not actually funny enough to be comedic either. I mean, like, I didn't laugh. So not only did I not get hot, I did not laugh.
What's the storyline?
It failed on both fronts. It is a gay couple who decides that they need to spice up their love life. So every day of the week, they're trying some new BDSM thing. but it always fails. So like the first day there's some leather and, it falls flat on its face, and then they do a little bondage and that doesn't work out, and they try CBT, and one of them dresses up like a girl because they're going to be a sissy. So the author's trying to kind of put all these different like fetishes in here. None of them work out, and it's written so that it just gets to the point where you're kind of interested and then it falls apart.
So this would be,
it would suck balls.
And if he was a comedian, he could make the funny.
Right? If it was just funny and you just skipped doing the erotica at all, then maybe there's a place for that. I'm not sure.
So you think Casey is like a gay dude that thinks he's...
I think Casey is a woman who's trying to write gay porn and trying to do it in a stupid way. So I'm going to...
Boo to Casey.
At the last 3 pages, there's a spanking scene, which that one actually turns out all right, because the sub of the partnership suddenly gets irritated with the other one and decides to take matters into his own hands.
Apparently not so much of a sub then.
Right, exactly. So again, not really good role play, falls flat on its face, and didn't make me laugh either. So I'm going to say I'm not even giving it 1 boner. I'm going to say avoid it at all costs, like the plague.
Well, that's very disappointing. Well, which brings me to my last book too, which was Cream Must Be Earned, which you would almost think would be like lactation, but it's not.
Yeah, I think we had that discussion that we thought it was all like a milk, gushing breast milk.
Right. No, I would have
spraying,
taken it off the list if that was the case.
Spurting. Got milk.
There was stuff spurting.
Your butt.
No, not in my butt.
Did it give you the shit?
No, the Canadian food was fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So
no food poisoning.
I was good there.
In the metric land.
No. Now, do you measure that in metric? Like I had like 50 cubic metric tons of diarrhea. How does that work?
I don't know, because I live in America, the greatest country on
Right.
earth.
We don't have to.
Right.
Hello, everybody else. You know what? I've got a 2x4 I'm going to hit you upside the head with. Right? 2 inches by 4. That's how we count things here. So I heard Cream Must Be Earned by Lana Fox, and it follows the story of Miss Spence and Marcus Sir. So there was very little sex in it.
Oh, man.
And
not another one.
And what sex there was very, very short.
Ah.
So it was
the worst kind of sex.
Right. It was BDSM-y. So it was all about Marcus Sir basically taking this woman under his wing for 4 weeks and like just dominating her. And of course, all she talks about is it's written in her voice, is about how wet she is, but it doesn't seem to really do much except basically, tell her to be more obedient. Then she apologizes, all leading up to basically, him blowing a load in her mouth and then like basically fucking her.
Okay.
And I did a little research on the author, Lana Fox, because she has a fair amount of stuff out there. And of course, I'm thinking she's just, a fat, got armpit hair, hippie chick, like living somewhere, because she writes articles for My Yoga Online and Spirituality and Health, And here's the big difference between her and you. You write smut.
And I don't write anything about yoga.
Right. And well, yeah, if you did, it would be smutty.
Right.
I mean, hot yoga would be a whole new meaning if you did it.
Oh, right.
Right. So, but this Lana, I think, is trying to be an erotic writer, but basically just writing romance under the pretense of some BDSM, because all the woman does, besides not getting any sex for like 60 pages, is talk about how, he's so dominating that she just loves him.
Oh, well, that's what 50 Shades of Grey is, so she might actually be onto something. It might be the next new
Right,
thing.
it'll be great. It'll be new, coming to a theater near you. Well, if that's the case, hats off to you, Lana, for getting the big cheddar, but otherwise you suck. So do not read her stuff. It's trash.
Okay.
I mean, this show is about smut, right?
It is about smut, and I completely agree with you. And I think sometimes it's easier for people think maybe it's easier to sell something in the erotica genre than it is maybe in romance, because I think for the most part, all right, just because you and I don't like romance doesn't mean that it couldn't be well written.
No, I would say it couldn't be well written if it's romance.
If you liked the romance genre, you could like it, and it could be well written. I mean, like Jane Eyre, that's a romance story, and it's a classic, and it's
okay. I will concede that it was well written.
Pride and Prejudice,
Well, but this goes back to what we were saying early on in our series, that there are basically only 6 stories in the whole world.
Right.
So,
however, I think a lot of people start out and say, oh, well, it's probably easier to put something in the erotica genre and it'll sell more than it does in romance, because romance readers, like sincerely hardcore romance readers, there's a formula and it's got to follow the formula. And if it doesn't, they fucking hate your guts. So in that respect, erotica is a little bit more open because it's not so formulaic. Some people want to read about sheep, and some people want to read about aliens, and some people want to just read about dude coming over from next door and tying you up. But it's pretty wide open. There's not so much of a standard formula, but calling a romance story erotica is disappointing, because somebody who's really purchasing smut wants to jag off. That's why they're reading it.
It's usually a 62-year-old dude sitting in a hotel room in Canada,
right?
Looking at his phone.
The story is good, and if it's something that you're really into, you might want to come back and you might want to read more. You might actually wind up getting into the story, but the principal idea behind reading smut is jagging off. So.
Right, which is what we're really all trying to do. That's the whole purpose of this show, is to give you good jag-off material. Right. Sadly, we seem to be coming across quite a bit that is not so good. But
at least we're reading it and maybe helping other people not read it.
Right. Here's hoping. So now...
Some other hapless 62-year-old man in a Canadian hotel
room. All by himself.
Without 7
just
friends.
Found out that his girlfriend, Dasher, broke him up with him.
Right.
Right.
Did she tell you the name of her new man?
No. I didn't want to know.
Really?
Just read.
Are you like one of those guys that'll like show up at her house one night drunk and...
No, because as my dad always said, women are like a freight train. There's always another one coming. So
I like it. Is it a CUMMI?
Well, because that was only the first part of the phrase. I didn't want to offend, but my dad would actually say that women are like a freight train. There's always another one coming, hopefully on your dick. So
I like it.
Right. So luckily you don't offend easily.
No.
So it works out okay. So we're moving on to our sex phrase of the week, and this is my salute to last week's trip. Now, we continue our tour of America, and in this case, North America, as we profile sex terms that reference states and cities all over North America. And it's like a refresher on geography.
Right.
So this week, it's the Canadian peach tug. So that is
Canada. We still don't have to do metric systems.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
So when a male drenches his testicles in honey and lets bees gently rest on them while a female coerces the tip while rubbing feces on the shaft.
Ew.
Right.
Okay.
That is the Canadian peach tug. So,
are you shitting me? That's a thing.
Well, I shit you not, Chanel. Unless you're going to rub it on my shaft while my balls are coated in honey and bees.
You know what? Because I'm scared of bees, I am going to solidly say no.
Okay.
Because, okay, wait. This is like a safety thing. Is the woman like, okay, I'm assuming like dude is standing, woman is kneeling. Ew, this is so gross. And then there's honey and bees and shit.
On the balls, honey and bees on the balls, and then shit on the shaft. Where did the shit come from, too? That's the other thing.
This is leaving me with a lot of questions. And then what happens if you know, because your hand's moving, right?
Right.
So, you know, bees don't like they
You
would
have to go
sting your
slow,
hand.
I would think.
You know what?
Yeah. You know,
That's
hey,
fucked up.
Canadians, you know how much we love y'all, but Jesus, try to make it a little more complicated next time.
Right. And, you
Right.
know, like, are you guys just coming up with this shit because it's cold and you don't have anything else to do? And, you know, you're in Canada and it's cold. Where are you getting the fucking bees from?
Right, well,
Aren't they, like, hibernating?
well,
like
even
bears?
there's a huge thing about bees because the bees are all dying out.
Because people keep shitting on them.
And putting them on their
Putting
balls.
them on their
Right.
balls.
So,
God damn it. Quit killing the fucking bees, Canadians.
well, maybe they're measuring their bees in metrics. You know?
So there's like 3 times more.
Right. They don't
Right.
even know what's going on. But that's our salute to Canada. Do, 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 do.
They should stick to Canadian bacon.
Right, well, you know what? I'm going to try and look up something and see what Canadian bacon might reference.
You know, if you ruin Canadian bacon for me, I'm going to be pissed at you.
Okay, I won't.
Okay.
You've been mad at me enough this week being out of town and all.
Right.
So-
If you make it so that I can never eat Eggs Benedict again, we're going to have beef. We're going to have bad blood.
Okay, we don't want a Taylor Swift song coming in here
I know, right?
right now.
Because then I'm going to make you dance, a choreographed dance.
Well, you know I got the moves.
I've seen your
Like Mick
moves.
Jagger.
I've seen your moves, and I'm going to make you do a choreographed dance to a Taylor Swift song.
I would imagine that some of our listeners might like to see that on YouTube someday.
I believe that they probably would, and then they're going to regret it afterwards.
Probably.
Right.
So, okay. So now I wanted to ask you, I noticed as I've been doing my research that there seems to be a big differential between male erotica and female erotica. And this is part of our What's New in Porn this week. But I was wondering what you would say the difference is, because even like the dude on dude or the threesome seems to be like targeted towards, some of it's targeted towards women and quantified as female erotica. And that's
Right.
very confusing.
Well, female erotica is more of a story and leans toward more of, there's more of a connection, maybe. It is probably not, even if chick is banging a room full of random dudes, there's like one dude who stands out in the crowd and makes her heart go pitter patter.
So that's female erotica. So
Female erotica is it's a story that's still hot in order to call it erotica. Otherwise, it's romance. Male erotica is just gives you a boner and you can crank one out before the end of the story. That's
right.
what male
That's really
erotica
what we
is.
want.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, yeah, that's the main difference. And not that you couldn't crank one out to female erotica if it was your thing and it worked for you, but there is going to be more, it's going to explain the connection between like the female character and whoever the hot dude is.
So in the scenario that you described, where the woman has got, let's say, 2 dicks in her vajay, another one hammering her butthole, one in her mouth, and then one in each hand.
Right.
So let's see, 2, 3,
That's
4,
6.
5, 6. You're a good counter.
Welcome to the metric system.
Right. So she's
It's
got
only 2.5.
she's got 6 she's got 6 dicks in her, But because she's maintaining eye contact with the one dude,
Yes,
then
that's going to be the center. There's going to be all these other.
So she's not a whore. She's just.
It's going to be something like he wanted to see her do it, and it's really super hot between the two of them, and all the other dicks are just like sort of like decoration. It's Christmas decoration.
Right. So at the end of it all, when she's covered in like 6 dudes come and they've all peed on her, and
Took a shit in her mouth.
right,
And
it's a butt because
covered her in bees.
right, and honey, and then brought a goat in that
Right, and watch her like blew the goat. And like rim the goat's asshole.
right, and then the 2 kitty cats had to come in and finish her off.
Right.
But because she maintained eye contact with the one dude,
Yep.
it's all okay.
It's all okay, and they're in love.
Well, okay then. And whereas male erotica would be like,
She's a whore.
okay.
Serves her right.
So basically,
Skanky whore.
So basically, you
bitch.
can market that story with basically an alternate ending and cutting a few paragraphs out.
Right.
Okay.
No eye contact. It's a dude story.
That pretty much sums it up, listeners. So that's the difference between female erotica and male erotica.
Yep.
I think we know what we want to buy.
Wow. Yeah, we're not too much into eye contact.
No.
Don't look at me.
That could be why Tedesha broke up with me. So,
Right.
too much of a connection.
Right.
Or lack thereof.
Oh.
Not really sure.
She was missing 6 friends.
Right. Maybe that was the whole
Or
thing.
2.5 in metric.
Right. I think you're going the wrong way. I think it's the other way.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, maybe
I don't
not.
care.
I don't know. It's very right. Yeah, we really don't. So, they don't even have their gas right. His gas up there is like what is it? It's 4 liters to a gallon there. But here, it's 5 liters to a gallon. So apparently we want a bigger hair in America than the Canadians want. I think.
Because we're better.
Or maybe it's the other way.
We don't care. We're done talking about metric system.
Right.
Because it sucks balls.
Though,
With bees and honey.
if Tim Hortons is looking for a corporate sponsor, hey, shout out to ChrisPLove69 at gmail.com.
They do make some mighty fine coffee.
They really do. And we here at the Chanel Ashby Podcast do love our coffee.
Especially a coffee enema.
We're going to talk about that in a couple episodes.
Okay.
So our featured fetish of the week, and you've done a lot of research on this, because we wanted to talk to our listeners a little bit about maybe something that doesn't have anything to do with poo or your anus. So,
At least that we know of. It
Right.
doesn't start with poo or anus.
well, it does start at the butt,
Right.
but it's spanking.
Right? Spanking's a good thing to do.
Spanking's fun.
And it doesn't include bees, which makes it safer
Or
than
honey.
the Canadian whatever that was.
The peach tug.
Okay. Yeah. Spanking's way safer than the Canadian peach tug. Now, like 4 out of 5 dentists prefer spanking to the Canadian peach tug.
I would think all 5 actually probably would.
Well,
But,
they're dentists, so they gotta have a little bit of a freaky thing going on.
they have that laughing gas.
Right? I went out with the dentist once who was the biggest freak ever.
Really?
Yeah. And then plus it just freaked me out that he's a dentist. I hate going to the dentist.
Right.
So-
Which surprises me because you have that pearly white smile.
Right? That's from cum.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That's not from oral hygiene.
It's just a constant coat of cum on your teeth.
Right.
Okay.
It's just as good as fluoride treatment.
It's like that commercial with the woman that's always got the pearly whites.
Right. It's for a filthy mouth. What is that gum for the filthy mouth?
For the filthy mouth. And then
Right.
she winks and it goes ding.
And it's got an English accent.
Right. Well, she's fancy. That's
Right.
why. So it leads me to believe then that maybe all British women just have a mouthful of cum all the time.
If they did, then see, there's another cool thing about England. We got to go there someday. So
maybe we'll do a podcast from there someday.
right in like Buckingham Palace.
Right, you could wear the crown jewels.
I want you to be one of those guards that can't stop.
That can't smile or talk or anything. You just want to shut me up, don't you?
I'm gonna get my Wilbur out.
Yeah, that'll shut me up, that's for sure.
Okay, spanking. I did want to talk about spanking because it's really the perfect way to introduce someone to a little BDSM, and it is good for doing some role reversal, or say you want to try a little role play in your relationship. Spanking's a good go-to. And you can do spanking on the cheap, because really all you need is your hand and your imagination.
You don't have to buy anything.
Right? And I know that I do talk about cheap things a lot on the show.
Well, you're frugal.
Well, and here's why. Because I see, when you go to the adult bookstore or you go online, there's a million places, and it's great that there's so many places now that you can buy adult toys. But there's a million different kinds of, let's say, crappy little paddles or something that you could buy out there. And the problem with that, like running out and spending a bunch of money on overpriced crap like that, you don't even know if you're going to use it. You don't even know really, like, am I going to do this on a regular basis? Plus, you go out and buy something cheap and shitty, it breaks. I'd rather see you not spend a lot of money in the beginning until you know, like, oh yeah, I got to do this like twice, 3 times a week the rest of my life. Well, then you're going to go and invest some real money in a nice leather paddle that's going to last you, and you're going to hold it in your hand and make sure it works for your hand and your wrist and all that.
Right, you can go online and buy nipple clamps for like $50, or you can go to like Home Depot or Ace and buy like a whole package of clothespins for like $3.
Yeah, you can buy clothespins. You can get alligator clips. You can go, the hardware store is your go-to for cheap BDSM toys.
Right.
So until you really know, like, okay, I really want to do this, and then spend some actual money and go to a store that preferably you actually met someone and talked to them, where you get kind of a feel, and you can meet a lot of people that actually make their own supplies if you are involved in your local BDSM community. And that way, you actually know how to use it. It's actually a good piece of equipment. So anyway, save your money. And if you need something more than your hand, you can always use a kitchen utensil or a hairbrush, like parents have been doing ever since they had kids to beat.
And the hairbrush is featured in a lot of BDSM spanking stories.
It really is. That's like a femdom like a marker right there, is using the hairbrush.
Part of the formula.
Right? So if you, and if your partner, this is my transition into that, wants to do some kind of incesty role play, spanking's a great way to do that. Because, like, let's pretend you are a dude and I'm a chick and we are together, and I want to do...
I could only hope.
Right? And I want to do, like, daddy-daughter role play. Spanking is the least creepy way to introduce that into, like a sexual thing, because of course, you're, as the person spanking me, you're taking the dominant role in our relationship. You're, bending me over the bed.
Right. You've been very, very naughty, Chanel.
I have been very, very naughty. It's very easy to say, oh, you were a bad little girl and you broke the rules.
Well, I think a lot of listeners, hopefully buying your books, should know that a lot of your work that you write is actually based on, semi-autobiographical, and that these are events ripped from your life.
Oh, right from the headlines. I'm like Dick Wolf.
That's what I'm saying.
Dun dun.
Right. So when all the spanking stuff you're going to write this week possibly might have happened to you at some point.
Right.
Or you had been involved in it.
Well, I have doled out some spankings.
Right.
Now another, any kind of power play, role play, it's good to have a spanking in. So if your submissive husband likes the thought of his teacher bending him over her knee and spanking, etc., like any kind, spanking is the go-to way to introduce BDSM into anything, because when you are the person getting spanked, that is a loss of control. And if that's something that you like, then you're going to know right away, okay, I really, really like this. Let's delve into this further. If you hate getting spanked, you're going to have a problem with a lot of more involved BDSM.
So this is a nice way to, like, as you said, introduce a little BDSM into your sex life with your partner without feeling like you're crossing a boundary or that you can't really share, because it can kind of start out kind of playful and
right. You can just, you could make it fun and then work your way into like serious ass whooping.
Right.
So if that's where you need to go, and I just, as a shout out to people that are maybe taking a dominant role in role play for the first time, you don't need to come up with a bunch of backstory for why you're spanking your partner. You can just say, because I said so. Boom. You just took the dominant lead in the role play. Get over here, get over my knee, because I said so.
And take it.
Right. Take it hard.
Right.
If you want to do humiliation play, spanking is a great way to go, because you can, just like your parents probably did, you can say, stop being a crybaby, I'll give you something to cry about.
If I got to turn this car around, that's what I always heard.
Right. So if you're spanking them and they're crying or they're whining, you tell them to shut up and take your medicine. This is a go-to for adult babies. Maybe they're getting punished for peeping their pants and they got to get spanked before they put in a diaper. So spanking can cover a lot of boundaries, and spanking can be much more sensual as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's all about the pain. You can be feeling up your partner and fingering your partner and fondling your partner and making it part of foreplay with the occasional pat on the ass. So it can go as heavy or as lovey-dovey as you want. Now, as far as the actual spanking is concerned, focus on the bottom half of the cheek. That's the meaty part. When, you don't want to be up on someone's kidneys. You don't really want to be up on the top half of their ass at all. You want to go all on the bottom.
I'd spank it where it jiggles.
Spank it where it jiggles. There's a lot more fat right there. So you're not going to... If you're hurting, if it actually is one of those deals where it's hurting your hand and the other person, now you need to move on to an implement.
Right.
If my hand hurts more than your ass, now I need a hairbrush or a spatula or whatever. And warm your partner up. Make sure that their butt's nice and pink before you really start wailing on them. And a warm up is going to be, just some taps, and change your tempo and change the amount of pressure, and don't get too locked into anything where you're stuck in one rhythm, because that's not quite as much of a turn on as, and plus you need to surprise them. Nothing like a good...
Right. You don't want to be too predictable.
You don't want to be boring.
Right.
If you're boring spanker, that's a problem. And make sure that you're paying attention to your sub. If you're the dom in that situation, it depends. What kind of a face are they making? What kind of sounds are they making? Are they arching their back and they're like giving you more ass, or are they trying to get away from you? Because that's like your body is going to start doing those signs to let someone know, like, ow, that actually hurts more than...
Right, that's not good.
Right, it's pain, yeah, but it's also pleasure. And for people who bruise easily, you're going to want to sit on some ice when you're done.
Or butter.
You can rub butter on your butt to help with bruising. And before you rub butter on your butt, you should sit on some ice packs. And that way you're not, completely purple, especially if you're playing with somebody who is not your partner and you don't need to go home with a whole purple ass.
Right, you do not want to try and explain that.
You can only fall down the stairs so many times.
Right.
So
Pesky stairs.
if you're on the down low, you need to consider bruising as one of those things like lipstick on the collar and whatnot, and put some ice on your ass.
Right. So, well, thank you for that in-depth look at spanking. And make sure you go out and all, try it at home. Have some fun with it.
Right?
Right.
Especially on Sunday when there's nothing really else to do. You should spank someone.
Right.
Or get spanked. I'm sure you're going to get spanked today, Crispy, with your assless chaps on.
Well, here's hoping.
Right?
Nothing says fun on a Sunday afternoon like a little spank. So, now we have a special episode of Crispy's Romance Review of the Week. Every week, we review a romance story. This is a genre that is most commonly purchased and discussed by middle-aged fat women who can be seen fondling their Kindle in one hand and a Godiva candy bar in the other. This is truly a painful weekly exercise for us on the Chanel Ashby podcast, but we do this for you, the listener, so that you don't have to. So I was doing my research this week, looking for the romance story of the week, and came across the Romance Writers of America, the RWA.org. And I'm calling out to all of you listeners, a personal jihad on the RWA. This is a terrible,
Isn't that one of those like NSA words that's going to get us flagged?
God, I hope so, because the NSA should be aware of this terrible terrorist organization, the RWA.
Right. Good luck coming back into America the next time you leave the country, Crispy. Your passport's going to be flagged.
Only if the TSA and Customs is staffed by romance writers will it be a problem. Otherwise,
Why else are they so angry?
Otherwise, I could be hailed as a great American hero for pointing this out.
Okay. Well, patriotism, terrorists, it's a slippery slope.
That's what I'm saying. So the Romance Writers of America apparently is an organization dedicated to help romance writers foster their careers. So,
oh boy.
And I know you're going to be disappointed, but we missed it. On July 25th, between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern, they had their annual awards ceremony for 2015.
Oh, man.
Where they handed out the Rita Award, which the Rita is the highest award of distinction in romance fiction, recognizing excellence in published romance novels and novellas.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Those, that must be why when you look at these authors' profiles, they are quote unquote award winning.
Right, because there's a fat chick somewhere handing out a big bag of dick, and this is what they get.
Wow. Okay.
So, but of course, now this I think you will be really intrigued by is the Golden Heart Award, and that recognizes excellence in unpublished romance manuscripts. So, how does that work?
Well, I'm pretty sure that I am going to win that award next year.
Right, because I believe you had to take a shit this morning, and I'm sure while you were sitting there for the amount of time it takes for you to take a big old healthy dump that you thought of like a whole big load of crap.
And it hasn't actually been published yet.
Right?
It's just in my head.
Look, you're a winner already.
Right? I know.
Right?
Go 2016.
Right. Okay, everybody, put in your vote for Chanel Ashby for, the Golden Heart Award. So I just want to read to you a couple of the winners from this year's ceremony. And, of course, if you go to their website, rwa.org, feel free to mention me in any context you'd like. But of course,
jihad.
Right, and the jihad that I am calling against the RWA. But in the 2015 Rita Award in Contemporary Romance Short, and I could just picture this ceremony in a bad banquet hall in a La Quinta, serving bad chicken. And I bet you the amount of wedges.
And chocolate cake.
Yeah, lots of chocolate cake. They probably eat their dessert first there.
Right.
Right.
It's like that chocolate molten cake, which just looks like diarrhea on a plate.
You know how
it's like sweet
right?
diarrhea.
Do you know how like middle-aged women try to wear high heels, but they don't really wear high heels. They just wear those big stubby.
The wedge.
Or not even the wedge. It's just a big old stubby heel on the
Right.
back of it. I
The
bet you
menopause heels.
right. I bet you there were a lot of those there that night. I bet. But so the winner is an author named Caro Carson. Harlequin Special Edition, and I would imagine it's a special edition because she looks like a special child. Her profile
She's a
picture,
special needs person.
she looks like just a giant old retard with her 1950s haircut.
Well, you know, 1950s is all the rage, my friend.
Well, it is, and I'll be the first to admit that, I may not be GQ, but I'm not trying to wear a bunch of nut huggers and grow a beard 3 feet long either. So, but now here.
Hey, Gandalf.
Yeah, right. Is that a giant shaft in your hand? Yes, it is. So now, of course, the winner of the 2015 Golden Heart Award, and in case you're just tuning in, that is unpublished romance work, is Alexa Rowan. And, of course, her picture looks like she's walking through a field. And so it's
Is she naked?
No, sadly.
Ah.
But entitled Winning Her Over. So now just a few other notable
You know, I think she stole my title that I came up with while on the crapper this morning.
plagiarist. I call plagiarism on you. Golden Heart winner from 2015.
Right.
So now also also another Golden Heart Award for paranormal romance, and once again unpublished by Jeannie Oates Estridge, and I think her middle name Oates references the fact that she looks like a giant horse, and probably that's her favorite meal.
She's into dressage.
But she looks like that kind of woman.
Pony play.
But her title, Demons Don't. So now, do you think they purposely don't just put it on Amazon because now all of a sudden you're published?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, in this day and age when there are so many viable options as far as publishing your own work, romance or otherwise, that if you have something that is not published, that's on you. And I'm not going to say that all of it's because it's, it's kind of a big deal for some people. But if you are willing to go on the RWA and talk about your unpublished work, then I can't imagine why you wouldn't have it on Amazon available to be purchased.
Right? Wouldn't you want to try and sell it and make some cheddar?
Well, maybe they're just intimidated because they know that next year I'm going to win the award.
You may sweep the awards. It'll be one of those things where they just don't even let you go down off the stage.
Right. Well, I am pretty regular, so.
Right. So feel free to sign up for the RWA news announcements should you want a whole bunch of crap cluttering up your email box. But it's quite the little website.
It's interesting that you even found that. How did you find that, Chris?
I typed in romance books.
Were you looking for a lady?
These are not the ladies I want to be associated with.
Right. They're too much of a lady.
Well, it's low-hanging fruit is what it is. It's easy
Right.
pickings. A man such as myself saunters into that kind of area where those women are, and just...
It's like bees have come to the honey on your nuts.
It's like I am a giant Canadian ball covered in honey is what it is. So, but feel free to email them and tell them about the jihad. And if any of these people would like to respond, it's chrisplove69@gmail.com. And we can talk more about the rwa.org. Yeah, at the end of you know what? I think maybe that story you read about the post-apocalyptic world.
Yes.
I think that happened because the RWA took over.
Romance.
Right? Romance took over, and the world came to an end.
right?
Right.
People stopped jerking off
And just started thinking about falling in love.
and the human race died out.
Right. And I do believe in love, just not in romance.
For about 20 minutes at a time.
Right. You're being generous today. So, which brings us to our listener question of the week. So, and I'm very curious to get your response to this because I think this is very interesting.
Oh,
So,
right?
of course, all listener questions can be directed to chrisplove69@gmail.com. And this week it's, Dear Chanel, I was listening to another podcast. And, of course, the first thing I say is, why would you want to listen to any other podcast other than this? But I was listening to another podcast by two lesbian sex therapists.
Ooh.
They read a letter from one of their female listeners asking if she should partake in getting a facial from her husband. She finds it degrading and dirty. However,
Right.
she would like him to do things to her, such as such as perform oral sex even during her period. And she doesn't find that to be a problem. Okay. Now, the two female lesbian sex therapists said that, of course, she should not let him do a facial on her, and that she should make him do whatever she wants him to do.
That's great. Okay.
But the writer is wondering, shouldn't it really be equal for both partners? I mean, if it's not hurting the other partner, then and you love them, then shouldn't you kind of, give a little?
Right. Well, it's all about negotiation, right? Now, the listener's question is basically like, shouldn't it be tit for tat? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah, it should be. First of all, somebody coming in your face, especially since it's your husband.
It's a sign of love.
I mean, it's better than, well, just tell him not to come in your hair.
Right.
I don't see how that's degrading unless you tell yourself. That's something that you're just telling yourself. The act itself is not degrading. This is something between you and a person that you love. You have a relationship with this person. So you could tell yourself that anything is degrading, but you're doing something for someone that you love and they want, then it's not degrading. That's just how marriage kind of works.
Well, in marriage, any relationship is truly a series of negotiations.
Right. And if it were me, and hey, I'm a woman, I get my rag, I'm going to say telling your husband to go down on you when you're on your rag, I got a bigger beef with that than the spunking in your face. If I'm the dude and I want to spunk in your face and you are telling me that I have to eat your period in order to do that, I'm not spunking in your face. But here's something that I think all married people need to keep in mind. And this isn't like a reality is, if you're not going to do it and you're basically telling your spouse like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this, there's always someone else that will.
Possibility that they will.
And that's not a good, healthy thing to, have hanging over your head. But it's reality is, if you're just refusing to do something for somebody that they actually really are invested in, it's not, your relationship is not kind of going in a good place. And there's always going to be somebody out there that will be happy to take your husband's load to the face. So I would say you can't make any, the word make is a bad word. You shouldn't be making anyone do it. But yeah, of course, there's times that your partner's going to want to try something that you're not going to be that into, but it's a negotiation. Try it.
It's a good luck, listener.
Right? And if your husband has shitty tasting cum, then it's better to take it to the face than in the nose and in the mouth and
Right. And
et
to
cetera.
you, the writer, thank you for sending that in. Of course, we all know that lesbians actually hate dudes. So,
Well, the fact that you're asking, as a straight woman asking two lesbians what she should do about her straight husband problem, that might be your problem right there.
right. First thing they're going to want to do is go buy a plaid shirt and get some Crocs.
Well, and the lesbians are going to be like, "Hey, why aren't you on our side?"
Come on over to our team. We got lots of room. Right?
Right.
Yeah. And no one's going to spunk in your face on our side.
Right? No dicks allowed.
Except, right.
The He-Man Woman Haters Club.
You, dude, you can't come in our clubhouse. No. So, and of course, wrapping up the show with our shameless plug for the most entertaining and talented smut writer that I know. Chanel can be found on Apple iBooks, Amazon, Smashwords, and any other place that fine quality smut can be purchased. And you can visit her blog at chaneltube10.com for updates. But freshly released this week for purchase is Sissy Shorts and Cookie Shorts.
Cookie
and that's
Shorts.
Not cookie, it's cucky.
Kecky Shorts. Sissy Shorts, it's a series of sissy stories. You can also buy the compilation, and they're all over the place. Like one young man gets caught shoplifting panties.
Hate when that happens.
Right, and then another guy gets caught watching femdom porn, and his wife sees what's happening, and then he is punished because he lies. Cucky Shorts. Quick note: like half of Cucky Shorts has actually been banned on Apple iBooks, and all of the Sissy Shorts were banned on Google.
Well, banned? Like you can't get it? Or
Like you can't get it. Google, I'm going to actually republish with a different cover and a different title because they need to get with the program.
Hey guys, that means Amazon. Go to Amazon.
Go to Amazon, go to Smashwords, go to Barnes & Noble, which apparently is run by somebody like me who does not give a fuck.
It's all about the cheddar, Barnes & Noble.
Right,
Big
and-
shout out to you guys.
Exactly. And Apple iBooks, has banned about half of the Cucky stories. However, is selling the compilation. So they have no problem with it as an entirety.
Oh, well, okay, you can buy it there then.
Right?
Just buy the whole set.
Right, buy the whole set. The Cucky Shorts is all about a guy who meets a girl who thinks she's the perfect girl for him. And on their first date, she introduces him to her big black boyfriend.
Sounds like good reading.
Right?
Right, buy the box set. Definitely.
Pretty hot.
Exactly. So, and then next week, I want to talk about something called pencourage.com. So, we're going to do a little research on that this week, but I read a real interesting article, and we'll talk a little bit more. That'll be our featured, new sex topic next week. But for all you listeners, take a look at the website, and then, you'll know what we're talking about. But that's pencourage.com.
Okay.
And it's the newest craze for all the youngsters out there. And so, of course, we welcome all questions and comments to chrisplove69@gmail.com. And please do not send any naked pictures or body parts to chrisplove69
Especially not with your balls dipped in honey and bees
and
all over them.
bees. We don't want that.
I
No.
definitely don't want to see any bee and testicle pictures.
Or feces on your shaft.
So don't show them to me if you get me.
chrisplove69@gmail.com. And remember, anything that you definitely do not send, Chanel will not look at it when I stick it in front of her at her computer or forward the email. So anything, you don't want Chanel to see, make sure you do not send it to chrisplove69@gmail.com. We hope you all have a really good week, and we'll talk to you next week. Goodbye, Chanel.
Bye, Chris.